Hey, welcome to the Erie Music History Podcast. I'm Chip Shell, your host. And today I just wanted to take a few minutes to explain what this podcast will be and why I've created it. So let's start with the why. I started playing music in Erie in the late 1980s. And over the years, I've been lucky to meet a lot of other local musicians who have a ton of experience playing in bands that, frankly, a lot of folks in this town love and remember. I've always enjoyed hearing stories of what it was like to play back in the day when being in a band sometimes meant you had gigs 5 to 7 days a week, or you were the house band somewhere, more than likely somewhere that doesn't exist anymore. Or maybe they took a shot at making it big and they left Erie. I want to hear about all those experiences. There's plenty of stories out there, and I thought this information is really part of our city's history. So I guess I'm starting this podcast for two reasons. One, it's simply for my enjoyment. I like to talk to these folks and hear their experiences. And two, I'm capturing a little bit of history. So maybe someone who is younger or not from Erie can learn a little bit about what playing music in our town used to be like. That kind of leads me to the second point of the episode, telling you what to expect from this podcast. Well, let's start with what it's not. It won't cover the current music scene. I won't be talking about who's playing where and when. My buddy Jack Stevenson has that covered with his two-man happy hour weekly podcast. I'll add a link at the end of this episode for that. Instead, I'll only be interviewing local musicians who actively played out in venues in and around Erie in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Now, if they're still playing today, we'll be sure to mention that, but the bulk of the interviews will be about their past musical experiences. I'll talk with them about how they got into music, where they went to school, what instruments they play, what their first gigs were like. We'll just see where the conversation goes. I want to talk with folks who played originals and covers, people who played rock, heavy metal, country, alternative, whatever. I should also point out that I'm not implying one person or band was more important than another by asking someone to be on the podcast. This isn't some type of ranking, nor am I going in chronological order. Again, my intentions are purely selfish. I like to talk with other musicians. It's as simple as that. Now, I know the list of potential guests is long. The one I started just off the top of my head had close to 100 people on it. I do have a full-time job and I do still play in my acoustic duo, Rankin and Shell, so my time is limited. But I hope to crank out an episode at least every 2 weeks. So if you're interested in reminiscing about the days when places like Sherlock's or Goofy's or the Aristocrat Lounge or the Calabrese Club were the hot spots in town for live music, along with many more, then be sure to subscribe to the Erie Music History Podcast. I'm Chip Shell. Thanks for listening.